Hey YouTube. Today I wanted to talk to you about why I'm doing this at all. Why am I starting this channel? Why have I built this guitar studio and so forth? And especially address why I should be considered anything of an expert given that I don't have academic training in music. And so what I want to tell you about today is my life history in terms of my relationship to music and how I came to love music, how I came to know it through various instruments, and how I arrived at my current situation. And so my first phase, right, my first phase was when I picked up trumpet when I was a kid, and I joined the school band and did all the band stuff with trumpet, and I really enjoyed it. But that was mainly when I was living with my father, and when I went to living with my mother, my stepfather was not appreciative of my practice time, we'll just put it that way. And so gradually I played less and less at home, which means I got less and less good at it, and eventually in high school I pretty much gave it up. And so then you get into the next part, a very sad time in my life in which I wasn't actively pursuing music. I had other things going on and I was doing college and so forth, but thankfully my good friend Matt, he got me back in the next phase of my life and got me really to love and appreciate the rock genre, in terms of all the guitar, bass, drums, the various instruments. The only thing I've never really done anything with is the keyboard. I'm not so great with that. I love stringed instruments, and so he's a phenomenal guitarist, and I hope at some point I can find him out there because I haven't heard from him in years. I've been trying to find him, but amazing guitarist, plays like Eric Clapton, just amazing guy. And he introduced me to so many amazing guitarists and taught me so much. And from that period, you come into when I primarily focused on bass as I continued my education into seminary, began to teach at a college. I was mainly into bass. And at this time, I didn't have any time to play with other people, so I mainly would just play with music at home and just play along with it, that sort of thing. But I kept up with the bass, and I really loved playing it and so forth. But something that I found while I was teaching in North Georgia mountains is the banjo, very kind of unusual regional instrument. But I ended up learning clawhammer banjo, and what that allowed me to do also was begin to develop my vocal abilities, because I have as you can hear, I sing in the bass and baritone range, right? So the bass clef. And I never really got into singing as a bass because, and don't hate on me, folks, but singing bass lines tends to be really, really boring. I'm sorry, but it is. You sing the same note and then another one, but then you go back to the same notes. It's very almost monotone. I mean, you can look at a bass line on a 4-part harmony and see there's not a lot of movement. And I love melodies. And so I ended up learning by playing the banjo, learning how to sing bass lead, which is actually a thing in bluegrass and some old-time gospel and that sort of thing. Still, it's very on the fringe, musically speaking. Well, a few years ago, I got a job as a music director, music pastor at a church. And so as a result of that transition, the banjo was great, but it was very limited musically. And I'll probably do some videos at some point comparing them as instruments and how they're similar and how they're distinct and that sort of thing. But all of the time that I put into bass, and then I also played guitar over the years too, but it was just purely for enjoyment. I never did anything with it. I love playing rocksmith, that sort of thing, and just playing along with music at home. But I never really developed it. I never focused on it until I was in this music pastor position. And that brings us to where we are now. During that time, I really fully devoted myself to the study of guitar. I've looked at all the different ways, top and bottom, how to build them, how to construct them, how to repair them, how to maintain them, and then all the different music styles and genres. Not that I'm a virtuoso by any means, but personally, I tend to improve in something by learning about all the stuff around it. So when I'm noodling, when I'm just purely just playing without thinking, I tend to go into a blues country kind of genre. But that's just purely like I'm just letting the spirit flow into my instrument and not thinking about it at all. That's what comes out. But I love to learn all over the spectrum. I tend not to get into the heavy stuff, and I have nothing against it. In fact, one of the things that I really appreciate about the heavier genres is that when you really look and break down the music, they tend to be actually kind of a neoclassical. A lot of it's shredding with high distortion, but those are arpeggios. There's a lot of cool classic musical stuff that goes into the heavy stuff. I prefer, in terms of the aesthetic of the music that I'm drawn towards, is music that emboldens me but relaxes me. Again, I'm thinking Johnny Cash, classic, country, southern rock, Allman Brothers, all that sort of stuff. All the blues, all the Kings, B.B. King, Albert King, Freddie King, the King. I mean, there's so much amazing music out there. And ultimately, that's the thing to know about me as my approach to music is as an artist, not an engineer. And I appreciate to the highest degree engineers. Leo Fender, one of my heroes in the guitar world, and I'll do some videos on his life because he's an amazing guy with a lot to teach us just by the way that he lived, but very different. He was the engineer, but he loved talking to the artists, and that was his great passion, was making instruments to connect with the people that would create art, create music, and so forth. And so that's where I'm coming from in terms of I'm an enthusiast. I'm not an expert as I am an expert in theology. I've got 4 degrees in it. I'm a true expert, as in an academic credentialed expert. But when it comes to music, I'm a music lover. I love music. I love all sorts of music. I love that people love music. And here we get into a little bit of the spiritual side. I think that it taps into a divine realm. It truly does. It gives us the ability to come closer to the spiritual realities that are woven into the fabric of the world. And we can go way into my Christian theology, but at the very basis, I think when we both experience that, we can say, this is something more than just waves of energy hitting an eardrum. There's something with soul, right? Something with spirit here happening. And so that's the basis that I think I can really connect with other guitarists. As we go, your music might not sound like my music, but man, I love that you love music, and you love that I love music, and we both love music and making it and listening to it and experiencing it and expressing it and all those things. And so ultimately, that's the thing to know about me. Why am I making this? Why am I doing this? Just for the pure love of it. I love music, and I love the ways that it draws people together and the community bonds that it forms. It's powerful stuff. And so that's what I'm here to partake in. And hopefully you will enjoy the content that I put out. Always looking for comments, always open to improvements and so forth. But I'm here for the art, I'm here for the beauty, I'm here for the enjoyment of it. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoy the channel. You'll have a blessed day.